So it seems a lot of you like to watch these videos, and I thought I should bring it to you again. It is titled Karine Jean-pierre Gets Triggered by Reporters, and this happened on live TV. Let's get to it.
3, 2, showtime.
Get Mike. Yeah, I'll go to the back.
The House Judiciary Committee is planning its first hearing next week on what it's calling the Biden border crisis. Wanted to see if you have a reaction to that. And also, can you talk a little bit about how the White House is preparing for all of these investigations that House Republicans are planning?
Let's get right to it.
So look, this is something my colleagues at the White House Council has been dealing with and responding to the committee. And I mean, look, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. During the midterms, we've heard from congressional members, Republicans in particular, that their focus was going to be on lowering costs for the American people, dealing with inflation, which is something the president has been doing for the last 2 years.
That's really good.
And on brand, they decided to do the opposite of that, to not deal with inflation, to not work with us in a bipartisan way, to continue to really truly work for the American people. That's what we're seeing. My colleagues have said this before. I'll repeat what they have said. We are willing to work with the committee in a good faith fashion, but again, it has to be in a good faith fashion, and certainly talk about items or talking about anything that is pertinent, that is appropriate. But again, in a good faith fashion. And so I'm not.
Why does she keep emphasizing good faith fashion? Maybe she sensed that the other political parties or the opposition might try to take advantage to politicize these issues. Maybe that's why she's emphasizing good faith fashion. Honestly, I've said it before, I would cut her some slack because her job is hard. I wouldn't want to do this because I don't think as a speaker, you're only going to be speaking your mind. Yes, you have to speak the mind of the entire presidency.
To get ahead of what my White House Council colleagues have said. But again, this is, they are doing the complete opposite of what they said that they would do during the midterms.
That's bad.
And we have to remember, the American people spoke very, very clearly on what they wanted to see. They wanted to see Republicans and Democrats work together to deal with the issues that truly matter to them. Good.
You've announced some of these day trips that the president's going to be doing over the next week and a half. Obviously, in less than 2 weeks, the president will be doing the State of the Union. Has he started preparations for that speech, and is there anything you could tell us about that overall message that we might hear from him that
So
night?
we'll have more details on the State of the Union. I can say this is the State of the Union. This is something that the president takes very seriously, and he knows this is an opportunity not just to talk to the congressional members that will be in front of him, but also the American people, and talk about the successes of the last 2 years and how he sees his vision in the next year, especially as we go further into 2023. So he sees this as an important opportunity to talk about how we're lowering costs for the American people. What else are we going to do to make sure we deliver what he promised, right? Mm-hmm. An economy that's built from the bottom up and the middle out. What else, or how else can we work in a bipartisan way? Don't want to get too far into what he's going to say. Clearly, we'll have more to share, but this is he sees this as an important moment, not just for him, but for the American people to hear directly from the President of the United States.
Honestly, I don't think any of these interviews, personally, I don't watch these interviews unless I'm bringing it to the channel, because they're usually very vague. Like, nothing really gets answered. The words and the constructs they use. And I feel like she has to do that every time because she can't precisely tell you what it is for sure. I'm just saying, like, her job is difficult. I'm not blaming it on her. But again, I wouldn't watch this to get answers because no answer is going to be provided.
I'm just going to go ahead and have him.
You said the president would have his physical finished by the end of this month. Is that still on track?
That's still on track. When we have a date to share, we certainly will.
Okay, just one other quick one. The House Oversight Committee is looking into Hunter Biden's art sales, or the sales of his own art. Is the White House concerned about that? Does it have any response to it?
I will refer you to Hunter Biden's representatives on this.
Just refer him to me.
And right behind. Yeah. go ahead.
There are concerns that the big tech layoffs and the banking layoffs will spill over into the broader economy. When the president speaks about the economy tomorrow, how will he address those fears and the fears of a recession?
And look, we understand, the fears. But what I will say is that, and I've spoken to this a couple of times, that there is data, job data that we have seen, job opening data that we have seen where layoffs remains record low. And so that is important to look at those numbers as well. I've talked about the consumer price index. I've talked about the PPI numbers that we have seen, as we have seen inflation continue to come down over the last 6 months. And that is important as we talk about the economy, as we talk about how the economy is building, we're building jobs, building back up. And so those are all important data points that we watch as well, that all of you do as well.
Nothing yet.
If you look at the GDP, it grew by 3.2%. All of that is important as we speak to this, as we speak to what we're seeing across the board. Don't want to speak specifically about private companies and tech layoffs, but there is again data out there that shows that the economy is growing, that shows that we are indeed going to a stable and steady growth, which is important, which is something that the president has worked, and you've seen this with his economic policy has worked towards over the last 2 years.
Have you guys seen this data she's talking about? Like, is it readily available, or is it like a data from the White House, or is it like a data by professionals that has been published? Because she said job openings are at a good number right now.
He said the president wants to work in a bipartisan way. He said this week that he has no intention of letting Republicans wreck our economy, was his words. Does the administration view calling out Republicans as an effective tool when dealing with recession?
So I'll say this, and I've talked about this before. We are willing, and the president is willing, to work with Congress in a bipartisan way.
Sure.
As he has in the last 2 years, we have seen results of that. But he's also going to call out Republicans in particular in the House who are saying they want to cut Social Security, who have said very clearly they want to cut Medicare, they want to cut Medicaid or defense spending. This is what they are saying. This is what's coming out of the Republican conference. And the president has said that he's going to fight every day to protect those programs that taxpayers pay into. And we have to remember those programs, they benefit veterans, they benefit our seniors, and taxpayers who, again, have earned the right to be part of those programs. So yes, he is going to call that out when he sees there is real danger.
But the question usually is, if the Republicans are saying they want to cut all these sectors, or cut the financing or the budgeting of all these sectors, where are they putting it to? Or are they just cutting it to reserve the money, or where are they going to be putting the money to? Would it be something more important? I don't know, but I'm just asking, because sometimes to balance an account, right, you need to try to cut some expenses or trim some expenses. That's if there's a need to do that. Sometimes there might not be a need to do that. So it's not just one thing to say the Republicans are saying, or it's one thing to say the Republicans are trying to cut the budget. It's another thing to say they are going to be cutting it to put here, or cutting it for this reason.
Against those programs. Okay, nothing else.
Thank you. Two quick questions. Just when the meeting...
I'm backing the Republicans because they are not here. So I'm representing Republicans now.
With Speaker McCarthy happens, is it the expectation that it will be here at the White House, or is there any... I know the president's scheduled to go to Camp David this weekend. There's not going to be a possibility that the speaker is going to appear to meet with the president. Some other off-campus.
So let me just say this, just as a reminder to all of you. It is very common, it is tradition, right, for a speaker to meet with the president, especially in this instance, as we go into the 118th Congress. So there's nothing unusual, and we are looking forward for that to happen. Don't have a date set here, and I don't have clearly the expectation that it will happen here at the White House. But as soon as we have more information, certainly we'll share that with all of you.
One question I had asked, I think about a month ago, if there's any update on the architect of the Capitol. There's been an ongoing investigation, and I know that members of Congress are trying to figure out if there's anything they can do, but the architect is actually a presidential appointee, so I'm wondering if there's any.
No, that's a very good question. I forgot to, I don't remember the question, but certainly we will take it back and come back and reach out to you with where we are.
Okay, I'll get back to you.
On that. Go ahead, I know.
I think that's a pretty smart response if you ask me, because she doesn't know, right?
President Biden has tried to decriminalize or deschedule marijuana, and in the interim, companies, legal marijuana business in New Jersey and elsewhere, can't open checking accounts. They're doing in cash. They're being robbed, and minority businesses can't get the money they need to open and compete with the big people. Has the president talked about doing anything administratively to try to ease some of these banking regulations and allow these businesses to flourish?
So I don't have any new policy announcements to make from here. As you know, this is something that Congress is working on, and we understand that there's interest in legislative and action, but I would refer you to Congress because, again, this is, again, what they're working on. Just don't have anything to preview on any new policies from here.
All right, then.
Okay.
Thanks so much. The president said last week that he has no regrets in his handling of classified documents. When he saw how forthcoming former Vice President Mike Pence was, his team was about the fact that they did find classified documents in his Indiana home, did the president regret not telling the public about this immediately and instead letting it leak in the press?
So I'll say this, and again, I'm going to be very prudent. I'm going to be very consistent here. We have seen statements from the president's personal lawyers. We have seen statements from the White House counsel's office that laid out, believe there was a timeline that laid out how this process went from our point of view. I'm just not going to go beyond that. I will refer you again to those documents. Mm-hmm. And I will just reiterate what the president has said. He takes classified documents, classified information very seriously. And I'm just not going to go beyond what he has said. I'm not going to go beyond what has been shared in statements by his lawyers.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I don't think any in-depth information that somebody would really want to know was answered. I don't know why people go to ask questions on that platform, because nothing really gets answered. Yeah, it's like the Congress hearings. You can't get anybody to say yes. So these things are, don't know, but let me know what you think about that. Also, a lot of the things she's talking about, I don't think she's directly involved. I feel like these things happen and then they call her and give her the briefings and tell her, go, speak for us. And she's trying her best. We can't blame her for it, right? She's doing her job. You don't know what pressure she's going through behind the scenes. I don't know. Maybe she's not going through any pressure. I still don't know. But we can cut her some slack, should we? That was an interesting one. Share your thoughts. If you want to fry me in the comment section for my comments, please feel free to do so in the comment section. Smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.